This is going to be a little bit more of a personal video about some things that I learned recently, or some things that I uncovered through doing some self-work recently. And I think it could be of value to some people maybe going through the same thing and maybe not even know it, because I didn't really know it. I come from a family, I'm Nigerian, so a lot of the stereotypes are true in terms of what our parents expect of us or what our parents decide for us. And as a young boy, I couldn't really, I couldn't subscribe to it. I knew that I wasn't a doctor. I knew that I wasn't a lawyer. I knew that I wasn't a professional in one of these traditional fields that traditional professional fields in which people tend to go for. I didn't really know what I was or who I was or what it is that I was meant to be doing on this earth, but it's easier to know what you don't want than what you do. And growing up, by family members, by very close family members and friends, because a lot of people are on this traditional path. Most people are on the traditional path. And when I say traditional, I mean like school to your job. You go to school to be something, and then you go be that thing. Whether it be doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer, whatever. And because of that, because of this society, even though there's clear shining examples of like very wealthy, very successful artists, very wealthy, very successful musicians, and like when everybody around you is telling you that when everybody around you is telling you that you can't do it, or that it's too risky, or that it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense, no matter how much you think it's not affecting you, it really is. And that's one thing that I learned recently. There's this whole stigma of the starving artist. And the starving artist is essentially the artist who gave up everything for the art, went broke, starves so that he or she can make art in peace, rather than being in one of these soul-sucking environments that's not for them. Not to say everything is soul-sucking that's not making art, but when an artist is not creating, and when an artist is not in a creative environment for extended periods of time, it's not necessarily about doing something that you don't want to do, because everybody has to do something that they don't want to do. Everybody has to serve humanity in a way that maybe they didn't intend to at first. But when an artist is not in a creative environment, in an environment where they can offer where they can be creative and they can be themselves, and a lot of these traditional paths like finance and all these, like some of these other fields that I mentioned, you can't really do that. And it's very soul sucking. And so the starving artist says, I'm not gonna lose my soul. I'm just gonna starve for the art, and I'm gonna be happy. And a lot of artists, including myself, have almost glorified this concept of like starving for the art, suffering for the art. Like a lot of artists have glorified this concept and accepted it as reality. Accepted the fact that, oh, I'm an artist, so that's why I'm broke. Or that's why, like it's okay to be broke because I'm an artist. But recently when I moved out on my own, and I truly experienced what it feels like to be the starving artist. Like, simply put, I was just like, yo, fuck that shit. Like, legitimately. It's not okay. Like, starving is not okay, no matter who you are. Being poor and happy is a myth, in my opinion. It's a myth in this society. Maybe back in the day when every fucking institution and every fucking thing that you like need to survive wasn't going up in price and wasn't and when people weren't taking from you like all the time, and when employers are basically paying you pennies because they don't want to pay you anything. Maybe back then, or maybe in countries where there's no economy to inflate. But when you have to decide between like socks and toilet paper, yeah, being poor sucks. Artist or not. And I realized that in my mind, I was telling myself that it was okay. I was even in my subconscious mind, I was even expecting my subconscious mind was telling myself that you can't be rich if you're an artist, even though this is false. But because of all the programming of society and family and all the discouragement from friends who are on the traditional path and family members who are on the traditional path. And so what does the artists start to do? They start to kind of put the art to the side and do other things because the art can't make them money, because they can't make money if they're an artist. So they have to get a job in another field, or they have to do all these things. And so that's an example of your thought process programming your actions, which in turn makes your reality exactly what you believe it to be. And so if you truly believe, even if you don't think you believe it, your actions will tell you everything. So for me, for an example, I started moving all over the place trying to make a living doing something that was not music, doing something that was not creative, because I didn't 100% believe in being able to generate wealth and build wealth being solely an artist, solely a creator. But if you really think about it, artists, in my opinion, have the most earning potential out of any human being. And the reason why I say that is because we take nothing and then we turn it into something. Same thing with entrepreneurs, which is why I put on artists and entrepreneurs kind of in the same bucket, because we do the same thing. And because we have the mindset and the ability and the fortitude and the discipline to create something that doesn't exist, we have the ability to feed the consumer, which is the masses. Therefore, we have the most earning potential. But society is telling you, and programming and the education system and all these things are telling us something different. And so they're programming us to they're programming us to fail, essentially. at what we're trying to do, because it's already difficult. It's already difficult enough to do, even if you 100,000% believe in yourself. But if you don't, even a little bit, you literally take actions that self-sabotage that goal. And I'm just here to tell you, fuck the starving artist shit. Fuck it. Like, it's not real. I mean, it's real, of course, but so is the starving lawyer who's in debt because they don't know how to manage their finances, because even though they're making all this money, they're consuming more than they're producing. They're consuming more than they create. They're consuming more value than they give to the world. So they're in debt. So you can starve no matter who you are, but the concept of the starving artist, I feel like as artists, the first thing we got to do is we need to stop glorifying that shit. Stop glorifying being poor, and stop glorifying. And the thing is, we're not doing this at the forefront of our minds. This is like subconscious programming shit that we have to actually look at our actions, analyze our actions, and see what those actions are really telling us that we believe. So I'm now in a position where I've noticed this pattern in my behavior, and lately I've stopped. I've like completely started going against it. Like, no. Like, I'm actually going to truly believe that, like practice what I preach. Everything that I'm telling you guys right now, it's like, it's true. It's real. We create for people to consume. Consumerism is what generates wealth. We create value, we get money in return. That's how it works. And that's what we do already. So we just have to lean into that. And we can't be afraid to put ourselves out there. Cannot be afraid to put ourselves out there. Artistry and entrepreneurship is like 70 to 80, maybe even 90% self-development. And then the other 10% is expertise, because you can't be trash. Like, you got to practice. You got to be good at what you do. But even if you're good at what you do and you're not developed as a human being, you're gonna be thinking that you're not good enough, and you're gonna fail before you even start, and you're going to cut off things before the masses can even judge them. You're not going to put yourself out there. And I'm speaking from experience. I spent years not putting myself out there, not putting my art out there, not putting my music out there. And because it was just never good enough. It was never good enough. And I didn't 100% truly believe that I could build wealth with music and artistry and creation and things like that being like my main skill. But not only is that like an important skill, like a needed skill for wealth generation, but also as humans, we have the ability to learn. We have the ability to grow. We have the ability to figure out anything that we need to know in order to get to where we need to get. We're adaptive. We adapt. We're born not even being able to hold our heads straight up. And then a couple years later, we've impacted the world in some crazy way. Other animals, dolphins, for an example, they come out the womb, they're swimming already. We can't even walk. We can't even open our eyes. But our evolution potential is so much greater than any other organism. And that's why we got to stop doubting ourselves, and we need to stop placing these limitations on ourselves, like, oh, I'm an artist, therefore I'm bound to be poor or broke. I'm an artist, so I live paycheck to paycheck. So I'm the starving artist. No, fuck that. Fuck that starving artist shit. We're thriving around here. We're thriving. The thriving artist. That's the new wave. The new wave is the thriving artist. And all we got to do is truly actually believe that and reprogram our minds so that we can then start taking different actions towards our success.